This story is told from the perspective of a girl. I posted here before about one of my creepy encounters with men, and I got some good feedback, so I thought I'd share another experience after it came up in conversation today. This experience occurred several months after the other, and it was the remaining paranoia from it that helped me realize what was happening, and very well may have saved my life. I was 18 at the time, although commonly mistaken for being in my early teens, and I had just finished some errands in town and decided to take a shortcut to catch the bus home. Said shortcut being a narrow street one of the shopping center's entrances opened into. It was honestly more of a glorified alleyway, but since the street was connected onto a high street and it was the quickest way into the shopping center, it usually got a decent amount of foot traffic and was extremely safe to use. However, depending on the time of day, there may only be very few, if any, people there, and that was the case this day. Just as I was walking out of the entrance and celebrating the fact that it wasn't blocked by people standing around and talking as usual, a young man around my age startled me by stepping out of the small alcove beside the door and blocking my path with an, "Oh, hi there, how are you? Have you been shopping?" The way he had approached me immediately put me off, but the overly familiar, fancy seeing you here sort of tone he was using made me hesitate for a moment, wondering if he was someone from high school who recognized me and wanted to say hello. So I muttered, yeah, hi, to stall for a moment while I racked my brain for who he could be. It didn't take me long to confirm that I didn't know a good-looking, fit, blonde 20-something with bright blue eyes and a heavy accent, and since I couldn't think of any good reason someone like that would approach me, my socially awkward, non-confrontational past self decided the best way to deal with the situation was just to dodge around him and leave. He didn't let me though. Instead of taking the hint, he immediately started walking in stride with me on the side of the street closest to the road, so that I was between him and the side of the building, and when I tried to speed up because I didn't like the feeling of being penned in, he sped up along with me, keeping me between him and the wall. As off-putting as that already was, he began asking me questions that seemed innocent enough, but all centered around where I was headed and if anyone was going to be waiting for me there. "Where are you going now? Have you not finished your shopping? Are you meeting your friends? Maybe I could come with you, or are you meeting your family instead? Do you have a boyfriend? Is he who you're meeting? Are you going home? Do you live near here, or are you getting a bus?" I already asked him to leave me alone once, and he acted like I hadn't even said anything, so I was ignoring his questions and glancing around desperately, hoping someone else would enter the street with us in case he didn't react well to being asked a second time. And that's when I noticed the second man. He was older, in his late 30s or early 40s, with dark hair, a short scruffy beard, and had the kind of face and expression that tells you might need to be cautious when dealing with this person. I have no idea where he had come from. My guess is he was hiding in the alcove on the other side of the door from the blonde, or further down that side of the street out of sight. But now he was walking in line with us on the opposite side of the road, staring the entire time. I tried to not let either of the men realize that I had seen him, while my brain went into hyperdrive trying to figure out what their endgame was. Were they going to assault me? Surely they wouldn't risk being caught doing that in broad daylight right outside of a shopping center. Maybe they were just going to rob me. But if they had wanted to do that, the blonde could have just grabbed my bag and ran when he had the element of surprise back when he was hiding behind the door. And then I remembered something that made my blood run cold. At the end of the street was an underground parking garage, the entrance of which opened up into the pavement being the blonde were walking on, and I would have to walk right past it because of the way he was penning me in towards the wall. It would take him barely any effort to shove me through it, and the dark-haired man across the street had been toying with something in his pocket that I worried at first was a weapon. But what if it was car keys? What if they were planning to drag me in there and into a car, take me who knows where and do who knows what with me? We were very close to the end of the street now, so I abruptly dropped behind the blonde and darted towards the road, wanting to get away from the garage and make a beeline for the end of the street without getting within arm's reach of the dark-haired man. The blonde immediately darted after me and blocked my path, hurting me back towards the pavement and penning me in so close to the wall this time that my arm was almost scraping against it as I walked. All this while still talking to me casually as if he wasn't doing anything wrong. They obviously knew the game was up at this point though, and when I glanced over at the dark-haired man to check where he was, he locked eyes with me, laughed, and called out to the blonde in a different language. The best I was able to determine later was that it was Eastern European, but not Lithuanian, Polish, Romanian, or Russian, saying something that made him laugh too, and doubled down on his "is anyone going to miss you?" questions, while also asking me if I had ever had a boyfriend, if I had ever kissed a boy, would I like him to be my boyfriend, etc. Obviously, I continued to ignore them, and I was panicking more and more as we approached the garage, but fortunately for me, the dark-haired man started to lose his patience with the blonde's lack of progress with me, and began snapping at him, presumably demanding him to get me to answer, because the blonde looked worried and his tone was getting more urgent every time the man spoke to him. Only a few feet from the garage, and the dark-haired man apparently crossed a line, because the blonde suddenly looked furious. He stopped walking and span around and started shouting back at the other man. I immediately took the opportunity to bolt for the end of the street, and although I heard the blonde shout, "Hey, where are you going?" and what I assume was both of them following me, I managed to round the corner and lost them by ducking down the next street and then several more just to be safe. I didn't feel safe enough to go to my original bus stop in case he stayed in the area and saw me, so I headed for one several blocks away instead, on edge and jumping at the slightest thing until I was on the bus and headed home. Although I tried to report the incident to the police, they weren't particularly interested since neither of the men had actually put their hands on me, and I had no proof of what I assumed they were going to do to me. I had never heard about any abductions, assaults, or robberies in that area, so I'm hoping they simply gave up after the plan didn't work with me. I'm glad I was paranoid enough to save myself from that situation, but I do worry sometimes that another girl wasn't as lucky. This happened roughly an hour ago. I, 14 female, was walking with my dog Stella around the neighborhood. I've been at a craft fair all day and was super tired because it had been raining and I hadn't made much money. I was asked to walk Stella just after I had gotten back with my mom, and I said yes. We head out, and I'm strolling along, watching the sky because it looks like it's going to pour and I don't have a raincoat on, just an oversized hoodie. I hear a car turn down the street that I'm walking on with Stella, and I don't think much of it. It gets closer to me and slows down, but I assume it's going to turn into a driveway. I look back just to be cautious. The car, I believe it's Chevrolet, but I'm not sure. It's just one of those car brands with the name of it spelled out on the front. I just don't remember the name of the brand. But it had no front license plate. This is illegal in Canada. You must have both the front and back license plates, though if your car is from the US, but you now live in or are just in Canada for a visit, you're all good. The car doesn't turn into a driveway, and I'm a little more unsettled now. I hear it slowly getting closer and closer to me, so I pull Stella to the other side of me, off the road. I'm even more frightened when I hear one of the doors of the car open as it is driving. I mutter to myself, oh fuck, here we go, I better be able to scream well. A hand grabs my wrist and jerks me towards the car. I wrestle with the guy for a couple of seconds and then I scream. I've not screamed in quite a while. I'm quite a quiet teen, unless I'm with my friends. The dude jerks his arm again, and Stella, being the silly goof that she is, finally realizes that I'm in danger. She pounces at the guy, grabbing onto his leg with her jaws and making him scream like a girl. One thing to note is that Stella is part terrier. Terriers are rat killers, so when they grab onto something, they are not letting go. The guy had loosened his grip on me by now, and I seized the opportunity to kick him hard enough to make him drop if he had been standing. He shrieks and lets go of me, which makes Stella let go of his leg. I grabbed her and I sprinted back to my house. I caught the license plate. I don't remember it now, but it was from New Brunswick. I'm in British Columbia. I'm scared to think of how far the two men would have gone with me if Stella hadn't interfered. I apologize for the late video.
Generally, I'm supposed to keep these only a week in between videos, but this time as I was finishing the video, I got really sick and I wasn't able to work on it for a while. So to make up for that, I found a really fucking weird bonus story, so enjoy. A creepy naked guy stole my pizza. This happened just a few hours ago, and I'm not scared anymore. I'm just angry that my pizza got stolen. In my town, there's a story that a guy has moved into the deep woods close to our town. I never believed it, as I go for night drives occasionally, and I never saw him or anything resembling a man that lives in those woods. Anyway, tonight, I decided to go for a drive and drove past a pizza place. Being hungry, I decided to get a pizza before I went home. In my head, I had planned to eat the pizza and play some Minecraft, as I'm in my 2-week Minecraft phase at the moment. I paid for my pizza and started walking to my car with the pizza in one hand and my phone in the other, messaging my friend if he wants to play some Minecraft when I get home. I look up from my phone to cross the road to the car park, and I see something under my car. It looks like a shadow or something dark. I put my phone in my pocket and pull out my keys. I unlock the car to scare off anything close to the car. I was thinking maybe it was another car or a dog hanging around it. But when I unlock the car, nothing happens. No cat running away, and nobody running away. The shadow looked like it was cast from the driver's side, so I was gonna have to look at what it was whether I wanted to or not to get in. I put my keys away and pull out my phone again to turn on the flashlight to see better in the dark. And as I turn towards the driver's side of my car, I see him. A dirty, naked guy with big eyes staring right at me. He was crouched down trying to hide from me. Now, I don't usually get scared of anything, but this guy scared me. He looked like he had rolled around in the mud and it dried on his skin. His eyes looked creepy, bloodshot, and kind of bulging out of his head. And he was naked. I got startled and I jumped backwards out of instinct, dropping the pizza in the process. It falls out of its box and onto the floor. I started moving back slowly and shout for him to get away from my car. He looks up at me, then at the pizza, then back at me again. He tilts his head to one side and then jumps towards the pizza like a dog, grabs it, and starts running away down the road. I assume he ran all the way to the woods. I wouldn't know where he went and I didn't feel like following him. I lock my car and run back to the pizza place and stay there for a bit. The workers obviously don't believe me when I tell them what happened, but I know what I saw. Once the fear subsides after a while, I realize that this guy just stole my pizza. Angry, as I was looking forward to it, I decide to get another one and run for my car this time. I get in, put the pizza on the passenger seat, and go home. Once I got home, I locked all my doors and windows. I even locked my bedroom door as I still feel scared a little. I think I'll be playing Minecraft until the sun comes up. Creepy, dirty, naked guy that lives in the woods close to my town, I never want to see you again, but I may have to fight you for stealing my pizza. If you have ever experienced a scary incident or know someone who has and wants your story to appear in one of my videos, you can send an email to mirostories@gmail.com with the subject of the email being whatever the story is about, like true kidnapping, murder, etc. Have a great day.